Good evening. You're watching the news tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishant Russell, and these are the top stories that we're tracking right now. Beef controversy rears its head again in Delhi. This time, Kerala Chief Minister objects to police reaching Kerala House over complaints of beef being served on the premises. At the India-Africa Summit, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj argues case for permanent seat in the UNSC, says India and Africa must join hands to seek representation for 2.5 billion people. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley allays fears over fiscal deficit, says targets will be met despite disinvestment challenges. A day after the earthquake, survivors spend night in freezing cold, fearing aftershocks. Rescuers struggle against tough mountainous terrain as Afghanistan and Pakistan appeal for help. And tight security for the third phase of polling in Bihar. Fate of 50 seats will be decided on Wednesday. Well, a big story this evening. After a day of protests, the Kerala House in Delhi has decided to bring buffalo meat back onto its menu. Chief Minister of Kerala, Oomen Chandy, has also written a strongly worded letter to the Prime Minister saying that the items on the canteen's menu were entirely within law. He's also accused Delhi police of overstepping its brief. On Monday, the Delhi police had reacted to a complaint about beef curry being served at the Kerala House canteen.
The Kerala government has dismissed claims that beef curry was served at Kerala House. Chief Secretary G.D. Thompson denies that the canteen serves cow meat. The government has also filed a police complaint over the entry of activists without permission.
I totally deny it. We have never done it. We have what they have done is they have given buffalo meat. That is what they term as beef. No cow meat was served.
Because it is a government organization. So, banned item is not serving in any of the restaurant in government under the government.
Following the incident, Kerala House has taken buffalo meat off its menu. Delhi police received a PCR call complaining about beef curry being served at Kerala House on Monday. Police says a team was sent there to avert any untoward incident.
Only in response to PCR call, Delhi police team had gone up to reception area, and after that getting satisfied and briefing the persons about any mischief monger, and no raid was conducted, no seizure was made, and therefore it is clarified again. Thank you.
The Kerala government has complained to the police about violation of its rights as the guest house is in the state's control.
ഒരു ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ ഒഫീഷ്യൽ ഗസ്റ്റ് ഹൗസ് ആണ്. അവിടെ സംസ്ഥാന ഗവർണർമാരും മുഖ്യമന്ത്രിയും മന്ത്രിമാരും ജനപ്രതിനിധികളും ഒക്കെ താമസിക്കുന്ന സ്ഥലമാണ്. അവിടുത്തെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു പരാതി കിട്ടിയാൽ പോലും ആ പരാതി പരിശോധിക്കുന്നതിന് ചില നടപടിക്രമങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ട്.
There was a complaint, they should have got in touch with the commissioner there. Now this is, they are purposefully destructing the federal structure of the country. It's not a small thing.
A political war of words is also underway with parties indulging in attacks and counterattacks. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal used the incident to hit out at the Modi government, calling the police action an attack on the federal structure.
It is an individual freedom of citizens to eat whatever meat or fish or vegetarian eat there. So that freedom should not be curtailed by anybody.
Legally, there is no ban in Delhi. And this is buffalo meat which is got from the government abattoir. What is illegal is for the Delhi police to go and raid Kerala Bhavan in the way they did, under pressure from the RSS and its organizations.
The law of the land says beef to be served in any restaurant in Delhi is illegal. That's the law of the land. Now, if somebody complains, forget who is complaining, but somebody complains to Delhi police, then the police is within their jurisdiction to go and investigate and search.
3 men claiming to belong to the Hindu Sena had called the police after noticing beef fry on a handwritten menu at the Kerala House canteen on Monday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's go across to senior journalist Sabha Naqvi. Sabha, it's not often that we talk about items on a menu, but this time around, the item on this particular menu at Kerala House causing all sorts of controversy. But the conversation, the subject about beef still remains a political hot potato that everybody seems to be indulging in.
You know, absolutely, Ishan. The Delhi police should be aware that there was an incident not very far from Delhi, which caused, which we've all debated for a while now. And the Delhi police should also have checked up that India is a very diverse country. There is a federal structure in India. And actually in Kerala, cow slaughter is allowed, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But in any case, here the beef that was on the menu is obviously in Delhi. Cow slaughter is not allowed, it's buffalo. And while I'm at it, let me make another point here, that if this can happen with the police checking in a government, state government guest house, what do you think can happen to an ordinary citizen on the basis of rumor? Is the police going to be on the side of people who are suspicious of what other people may eat? And I would also like to say this should not be limited to the Muslim community. Statistical data shows us that 70% of Dalits eat beef, Adivasis eat beef, and there is also an economic angle to the entire issue. Are you going to attack the buffalo industry now in India? Are you going to put many people out of work? There is an agrarian cycle of which buffaloes are a part. If you go through statistics, actually, the population of cows is diminishing and buffalo population has been increasing in India.
Right.
There are good economic reasons for it. So, you know, the whole thing is part of a larger problem that we are having to grapple with. Instead of modernity, we talk about beef and cow in a country where people are so hungry.
Absolutely,
So,
but
you know,
as far as the politics about the same is concerned, Sabha, now we heard the BJP spokesperson over there saying the police was well within its right, and as far as the BJP and the government itself is concerned, it seems that this is okay. Now, is that a worrying sign, and do you see the opposition rallying together on this particular issue, or do you see the opposition also divided? We'll just try to establish that connection once again with Sabha Naqvi, just to fill you in on the case that we're talking about. So yesterday, there was a complaint that was made to the Delhi police about beef allegedly being served at Kerala House in the national capital. The Delhi police went there, verified that. It was asserted that it was buffalo meat. The Kerala House still took it off the menu after protests. The buffalo meat is back on the menu. But the BJP, of course, saying that the police was well within its right. The opposition rallying and saying that this time around, the Delhi police was not supposed to be doing this. Sabha, just putting that question to you, the opposition rallying, this is becoming a rallying point for the opposition. And the BJP is also not really budging on this. And there's been no kind of, in the sense, apology or even condoning the fact that everybody is allowed that individual choice to eat what they want.
You know, let me also say one thing, that we have to respect the sentiment about cow, and that is why cow slaughter has been banned in many northern Indian states. And, you know, and the BJP should be aware that it has become a stick to attack people with, and on mere suspicion. I mean, you know, so the whole, it is inevitable that people will come out with statements, as they should, because this shows a certain infringement of our basic rights. It shows the Dadri incident was a horrific example of somebody actually entering a person's kitchen and killing them for what they thought was in the kitchen. As it turned out, from what we know, it was not even beef, but that is not the point. And here, if something is on a menu of a state government house, surely the police has the mind to know that it's legal. So obviously the police was acting under pressure to please a certain kind of sentiment. So let's have greater clarity on this. Are we looking, does the government want a ban on buffalo beef also? Let's be clear, we are talking about a severe economic crisis in certain cycles of society, which are not just Muslims. We are going to take away a particular protein from people's diet, the cheapest meat in India. We are going to take away something which was part of an economic agrarian cycle. I think India has one of the largest populations of cow, buffalo, so we are looking at this is not just the politics. It's not just a stick for politics of hate. We are talking about a cycle of life in a pastoral agricultural community right now. And that the police should be partisan in a situation like this, when another state government institution is involved, it just gives you worrying signals. So what can I say? I mean, the politics over it is inevitable.
It's inevitable, but it seems that it's become too convenient and it would continue for some time now.
We can all carry on about politics, and I'm the last one to say we should rest. Absolutely, it'll continue for some time. I think we should actually bring focus on the economic aspects of it. Okay. We should look at buffalo exports. We should talk to farmers. We should find out what farmers have to say about this. And regardless of this is not about religion. This has become something to target minorities, mindsets, and so the whole issue has become sort of tainted in the politics of the country. It's got tainted with prejudice. Let's look at it as an economic issue. Let's look at it as an issue of jurisdiction. Let's look at what's happened in Delhi today, as an issue of federal structures. Let's look at it at ham-handed police action.
Right.
I would, look at it through different ways. I don't want to look at things any longer through a communal prism. And I think we should all just look at the facts. There is some very interesting data coming out about all of this, about the economic aspects of what is happening. And we should get a clear economic response from the government.
Right.
That do they want to ban buffalo? Let's ask them. Do they want to ban it all over India? What is their plans? Do they want to shut down exports of buffalo?
Right.
Do they think, I had once done a story where I'd spoken to the leading scientist called Push Bhargav, where he had spoken about, given me details. He's considered the father of modern Indian biology, where he had said that there is genetic difference between cow and buffalo, as there is between human beings and monkeys. So there's no scientific basis for this. Even if you are saying that in parts of India cow slaughter is banned, I'm not even arguing with that right now, because in such a fragile situation you have to respect certain sentiments. But here what is happening here is something that's dangerously spinning out of control. And
absolutely, it's become a battle of sentiments versus rights, and which ones do.
There is
the state not being able to choose sides, and perhaps we'll really have to wait and watch, because this is a story that seems to be developing every day. Sabha, we've run out of time, but thank you very much for coming in and shedding light on this subject for us. Now, the ongoing India-Africa summit, India today reiterated its call for a permanent seat at the UNSC. Speaking at the foreign ministers' meet, Sushma Swaraj said that although Indians and Africans comprise nearly 2.5 billion people, they continue to be excluded from appropriate representation in the institutions of global governance.
On day 2 of the India-Africa summit, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj forcefully put India's case for a permanent seat at the UNSC. Addressing her counterparts at the ministerial meeting on Tuesday, Sushma said both India and Africa must join hands to seek representation for nearly 2.5 billion people in both countries.
India and Africa can no longer be excluded from their rightful place of the permanent membership of the UN Security Council. How can we expect legitimacy from a governance structure that excludes the entire African continent and a country which represents 1/6 of humanity?
Sushma also pitched for counter-terror cooperation with Africa in the backdrop of the threat posed by the ISIS and Boko Haram. For this, she proposed intelligence exchange and training with all 54 African countries.
We must step up our cooperation through intelligence exchange, training, and other measures to counter this menace. We also hope that the international community will cooperate with urgency to adopt the Comprehensive Convention against International Terrorism.
In line with Prime Minister Modi's development agenda, the participating African nations sought India's cooperation in the area, particularly HRD and MSME sectors.
I wish to highlight the great strides made by your micro, small and medium enterprises towards realizing our development agenda. The MSMEs' share in economic activities continue to grow steadily. In many of our countries, more than 70% of employment is generated through this sector. Thus, it is vital for this forum to put measures that will boost the support base for this sector.
Cooperation in several other key areas like energy, trade and security was also discussed at the meet, which set the agenda for Thursday's summit. It's being billed as the biggest gathering of foreign dignitaries in New Delhi since the 1983 Non-Aligned Summit.
There is hardly any difference between India and African nations on the question of social and economic development, but they are trying hard to create a convergence on the question of terrorism and Security Council reform. It will be interesting to see on Friday how they can reach the convergence. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha television with camera person DK Pandey in Delhi from the summit place.
Now, stressing on the need to further strengthen Indo-African ties, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said that India wants its economy to grow much faster. He also said that India will continue to strive for growth as the country's growth potential was much higher.
India wants its economy to grow much faster as it eyes new opportunities for trade and economic cooperation with Africa. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said, despite China having a few decades advantage over India and the reform process being much delayed, the country to grow much faster.
India today aspires to grow much faster. And when I say we aspire to grow much faster, we are still not satisfied with the present growth rates that we've achieved. They may be, in comparison to rest of the countries, quite reasonably high. But our potential, I think, in a friendlier environment, both within and outside, is much higher.
Over the past few years, India's annual trade with Africa has increased to $72 billion. But it's still far behind China's $200 billion. But India is now attaching high importance to ties with Africa.
India and Africa together may well become the engines of growth for the entire world. India can contribute its capital, skills, technological capabilities to sustain Africa's growth. Africa in turn can support India's growth through mutually beneficial resource partnership and easier access to each other's expanding market.
With the India-Africa Forum Summit, India hopes to further deepen its ties with the continent. But the country will focus on a developmental partnership for both regions. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has also expressed confidence that the country's fiscal deficit targets will be met despite challenges on the disinvestment front. The government has budgeted raising 69,500 crore rupees through disinvestment. Of this, 41,000 crore rupees was to come from minority stake sale in PSUs and 28,500 crores from strategic stake sales. Jaitley also added that all efforts will be made to persuade the opposition to get the GST bill passed in the winter session of Parliament. He reiterated that the government was looking to further ease the FDI policy. On that note, we'll slip into a very quick break. On the other side, all the international and sports news. India managed to hold on to the second spot in ICC one-day rankings, despite the loss to South Africa.
Rebooting ties with 54 nations. Redesigning an engagement with the continent. What's on the agenda at the 4-day Indo-Africa Summit? Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, preparations are in place for the third phase of polling on Wednesday in Bihar. Apart from ensuring a free and fair election, the Election Commission is also engaged in educating people on the need to exercise their franchise. Security as well is watertight to ensure smooth polling.
Elaborate security arrangements have been made ahead of the third phase of Bihar Assembly elections tomorrow. Each polling station will have a minimum of 5 central paramilitary forces personnel to ensure free and fair polls.
जितने भी क्रिटिकल बूथ्स हैं, जैसे दियारा का क्षेत्र हो चाहे नक्सल प्रभावित क्षेत्र हो, वो सारे जगहों पर ये एरियल पेट्रोलिंग से उसका निगरानी किया जाए।
50 constituencies spread over 6 districts will go to polls in this phase. The districts are Patna, Saran, Vaishali, Nalanda, Bhojpur and Buxar. The Election Commission has cut short the time for voting by 1 hour as in many as 10 constituencies. Polling in these constituencies will be held from 7 in the morning to 4 p.m, while in the remaining 40 constituencies it will be up to 5 p.m.
सभी विधानसभा क्षेत्रों में स्वच्छ एवं निष्पक्ष मतदान सुनिश्चित कराए जाने के लिए सभी मतदान केंद्रों पर अर्धसैनिक बलों की प्रतिनियुक्ति की गई है और निष्पक्ष चुनाव कराने के संबंध में जितने भी सुरक्षात्मक उपाय किए जाने चाहिए थे वे सुरक्षात्मक उपाय किए गए हैं।
Let us now take a look at some of the crucial numbers of the third phase. A total of 50 constituencies will go to polls in the third phase. 808 candidates are in the fray in this phase, out of which 71 or 9% are female candidates. A total of 13,648 polling stations will be used. 1.45 crore people are eligible to cast their vote in the third phase, out of which 78,31,388 are male, 66,86,718 female voters and 599 others. The fate of several heavyweights will be decided in this phase. Among them are Lalu Prasad Yadav's son Tejasvi Prasad from Raghopur and Tej Pratap Yadav from Mahua. The other prominent leaders who will face polls on Wednesday are BJP leader Nand Kishore Yadav from the Patna Sahib constituency, Deputy Speaker Amrendra Pratap Singh from Ara, and BJP's Chief Whip in the State Assembly Arun Kumar Sinha from Kumbhrar. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's now get you some more updates from around the country and nationwide. Two Hizbul Mujahideen militants and an army officer were killed in an encounter in Kashmir's Pulwama district today. The encounter started when militants opened fire on a joint team of the army and the police that was on a combing operation. This is the third encounter in the past 1 week. The Gujarat High Court today refused to quash the FIR against Patidar community leader Hardik Patel. It said that there was a prima facie case of sedition against him as he had told a youth to kill policemen. Hardik is currently in the custody of the Ahmedabad crime branch. Meanwhile, two Gujarat cops were suspended after a picture they took with him went viral on social media. The Sri Lankan Navy arrested 34 Indian fishermen and seized their boats today for allegedly fishing in Lankan waters. Fishermen in Tamil Nadu have demanded help from the state and central government. Nestle announced that it had restarted production of Maggi noodles in India. The company will start selling in the market only after the fresh samples are cleared. The company was forced to stop production earlier this year due to the presence of lead beyond permissible levels in its product. Some international news now, and Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has called on his countrymen to help those in need after the death toll mounted in the massive earthquake on Monday. Rescue teams were sent to remote mountainous areas where effects of the quake are still unclear. The death toll in Afghanistan and Pakistan has crossed 360 now.
A day after the earthquake, rescue workers stepping up efforts in Afghanistan and Pakistan. The mountainous terrain made it difficult to determine the damage, even as people fearing aftershocks spent the night under the skies in freezing temperatures. Meanwhile, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has appealed for more help.
لطول وطن والونا داده مخصوصا حق وطن والونا چه کلی که ولسوالی که یا هر بلزایی که چه دیادسی محل ده حضور لري لومړی نور وطن والو سره مرسته وکړي دوم دقیق معلومات.
Hospitals are struggling to cope with the wave of the injured coming in. The Pakistani army has evacuated several injured from Chitral that was closest to the epicenter.
सबसे ज़्यादा अभी तक जो जानी नुकसान की इत्तला है वो चित्राल से मौसूल हुई है। इन इलाकों का फ़ज़ाई सर्वे करने के लिए हेलीकॉप्टर और C-130 तैयारे भेजे गए हैं।
ये MS-17 दूसरी सॉर्टी है, इसमें भी हम 3000 केजीज जो है वो राशन आइटम्स लेकर जा रहे हैं और जैसे इंशाल्लाह ताला लोडिंग कंप्लीट हो जाएगी तो हम लोग चित्राल के लिए टेक ऑफ करेंगे और इंशाल्लाह 1.5 घंटे के अंदर अंदर चित्राल लैंड करके फर्दर फिर वहाँ से जो आगे अफेक्टेड एरियाज़ हैं वहाँ पर इंशाल्लाह ताला हम लोग अपना रिलीफ ऑपरेशन स्टार्ट करेंगे.
India, Iran and the US forces in Afghanistan have all offered help, but so far the local authorities have not requested assistance.
The U.S. government has been in touch with the governments in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and we stand ready to provide any additional support that may be needed. There are a number of pre-positioned emergency shelter and relief supply kits in warehouses throughout Afghanistan.
The US Geological Survey said the quake originating in the Hindu Kush region was deep set, causing less shaking at ground level, limiting the damage to the national capital, Kabul. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, China has expressed strong discontent on a U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyer sailing close to disputed Chinese islands in the South China Sea. The Foreign Ministry in Beijing condemned the move as illegal, warning it would respond strongly to any country's deliberate provocations. The U.S., though, insists that all its operations follow international law.
Alarm bells ringing in China on what it sees as US incursion into its territory. Guided missile destroyer USS Lassen breached the 12 nautical mile zone China claims around Zubi and Mischief Reefs on Tuesday. China sent out a strong warning, threatening it would respond to any provocative action that endangered China's sovereignty, advising the US not to take sides in the regional disputes.
我们强烈敦促美方认真对待中方的上述交涉，立即纠正错误，不得采取任何威胁中方主权和安全利益的危险挑衅行为，恪守在领土主权正义上不站不持立场的承诺，以免进一步损害中美关系和本地区的安全与稳定。
Earlier, the US had called its South China Sea operations routine and in accordance with the international law. It held up the Freedom of Navigation Clause, something China sees as a serious threat to its territorial claims. Japan and the Philippines have voiced strong support to the United States.
Freedom of navigation has been expounded and propounded by all parties to the issues of the South China Sea, West Philippine Sea. And everybody seems to be guaranteeing freedom of navigation. So I see no issue as to this U.S. naval ship traversing under international law in waters that should be free, free to be traveled upon by any non-belligerent country.
China claims most of the South and East China Seas. Other countries in Southeast Asia have also made competing claims on the islands that have resource-rich waters around them. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now let's take a look at other international news now on Global Buzz. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for a suicide bombing that killed a worshipper and wounded several others at a Shiite mosque in Najran. The attack on Al-Mashhad Mosque took place during evening prayers. A Saudi prince and 4 others were detained in Lebanon in the largest drug bust at Beirut airport. More than 2 tons of illegal drugs were recovered from their private jet at the Rafiq Hariri airport in the Lebanese capital. 5 Jordanians were killed and 20 injured when a truck laden with fireworks caught fire in Amman. The explosion took place in the yard of Jordan's customs department. Prime Minister Abdullah Ansor has sought an inquiry into the causes of the fire. Imports of fireworks are illegal in Jordan. Time now for all the sports action in Sports Beat. India held on to the second spot in the latest ICC one-day rankings despite their home series loss to South Africa. The Proteas retained third position but reduced India's advantage to just 2 points. In the batsman's stable, Virat Kohli rose to second place behind South African captain AB de Villiers. MS Dhoni is at 6th and Shikhar Dhawan is at 7th place. Indian cricketer Amit Mishra was released after an arrest in an assault case in Bengaluru. Mishra was grilled in a 3-hour-long interrogation session before being arrested. The police asked him to appear before them in a week's time to answer criminal charges of assaulting a woman friend in Bangalore. The International Olympic Committee has allowed refugee athletes to take part in next year's Olympics. IOC Chief Thomas Bach made the announcement at the UN General Assembly that adopted a resolution urging all countries to stop fighting and observe a truce during the 2016 Summer Olympics and Paralympics in Rio de Janeiro. Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho was charged with misconduct by the Football Association over his language and behaviour in Chelsea's defeat by West Ham United. Mourinho was sent to the stands after he tried to speak to referee John Moss in his room at half-time. Both clubs were charged for failing to control their players. Well, that's the news tonight. Good night.